So welcome everybody and good morning. And my name is Anish and I am from Zoho Corporation. I am a marketing manager there, primarily marketing our low-code platform, Zoho Creator. So today's topic is Cloud DB and speed abstraction. And this topic was originally supposed to be taken by one of my colleague named Iyengar, but he could not make it today, and so you have me. So Cloud DB and migration, so I'm just taking the topic in a different route, and our title for the day would be how low-code platforms can reshape web and mobile application development. So Ram's intention was to come from Cloud DB and end at low-code. So I'll be talking about what low-code and how it can benefit or reshape web and mobile application development and its benefits. So let's think about application development as such in companies and organizations. So in a company, they need tons of apps. A CTO will come to us in Zoho and say I need an app to manage my dealers. Another company's CTO will come and tell us I need an app to manage my vendors. There is another airline company which comes and tells us we need to manage our ground operations and we need an app for that. So all these apps somehow falls on the head, head of the IT department, and they already have tons of apps to be built. This raises to a problem how can we build applications faster and quicker? How can we meet the demand when the supply is so less? So on top of the demand for applications, whether it would be web application, now it comes everybody comes with a bunch of devices as well. This raises the question how can we develop an app for web and mobile at the same time? And both processes are different. Now devices are like the new desk, and businesses are running on at the same time, concurrent time. It runs on web, iOS and Android. Now think about the IT department's conundrum here. They have to develop applications, then they have to think about the mobile device. They have to develop for two separate platforms as such, iOS and Android. Now, okay, that is good. We can develop, but what is the catch in here? So the IT department doesn't have too many skills. When I say too many skills, means there are not enough resources who can do all these applications and all the devices at the same time. So app development is a high skill job, and developers come at a premium. And let's take a look at the typical app development. So let us take a typical web app, let's say, which we can use for managing our sales. So what usually we see is this kind of an output where we will display the graph or charts or anything. But the underlying things are the UI layer, the logic layer, and the data layer. Now each of these layers requires specific expertise, as you all know, and these expertise come at a cost. And with there it doesn't end. It's not only skill, but app development is sometimes complex. When it comes to the numerous apps that have to be built, it's sometimes considered complex because there are a lot of things that you need to worry about. If it's an app, you have to think about the infra, the OS, the server, network. Not only that, you have to think about the uptime and the updates, security and scalability. So what does this mean? Skills plus complexity adds to the cost. Sometimes think about the multi-platform app development as such. The same thing when you take and put it to the mobile devices as such. The earlier picture which I showed you, you see like this, but there are underlying layers. But for the mobile devices, you have to learn something pretty new, and the development itself is different. So multi-platform app development is actually adding more complexity in terms of the need for separate app development for each devices, and also how do you distribute these apps to the stakeholders? How do you distribute these apps which are made in iOS and Android inside the company, and also to, if you have a customer who is also using the same app, how do you distribute it to them? So usually when we meet people from companies and when we talk to the head of IT or CTO, they quote all these problems. They are not able to meet the demand for the apps. So you see like a lot of roadblocks, standing in the way of businesses adopting mobile and web apps. So how to remove these roadblocks? So that's the primary discussion that I want to take forward today. So one of the solution is like abstracting the complexity and skills. So abstraction is not a new concept to any of you. So a simple example is like how we see it in automobiles. And automatic transmission in automobiles is an example of abstraction. So when we have an automatic transmission in car, it's actually the transmission is not going anywhere. It's just there. Only like the skills and complexity needed are simplified with a layer of sensors and mechanics. So abstraction doesn't remove the power, just like an automatic transmission doesn't remove the transmission as such. Abstraction just makes things simple, and that is where like low-code platforms come in. So low-code platforms are IDEs which apply the principle of abstraction in all the layers of application development. Across the 3 layers of application development, low-code platform performs abstraction so that the extra and additional skills and the complexity involved are reduced, and the time to app is faster. So I work for a low-code platform like Zoho Creator. So in general, what are the benefits that low-code platforms bring to the table? The first thing is like it abstracts the layers, as he said, and reduces the skills needed, and also removes a lot of complexity that is involved. Second is it can do integrations with other apps in single clicks, and both of this combined together, it will increase the application development time almost by 10x. And the fourth and final point is it has multi-platform capabilities. So let's go quickly into each of these points. The first I mentioned is abstraction across 3 layers. First, let's take a UI layer. So usually, like how do we develop a UI? A lot of times we use HTML, CSS. Now, when it comes to low-code platforms, these are built underneath. It is again HTML and CSS, but low-code platforms typically provide a lot of templates, template pages, widgets, and all that. And so the first page or the UI, you can get to it very faster because you use templates and widgets instead of starting from scratch with HTML and CSS. So you can see on the right side a typical page built. And if you use HTML and CSS, it usually takes around 55 minutes. It's based on internal tests. And if you use a low-code platform, it can be done in like 3 minutes. And the beauty is like whenever you make an application on the web, and automatically the screens would be available in the mobile as well. The app is already available on the web and on the mobile for both platforms. So a typical page in a web browser looks like this, and the same in a mobile app, it will look like this. There's no difference at all. And the mobile screen adapts itself to this. There is no separate development or deployment. So a few more examples. Now comes the logic layer. So usually in logic layer, we use language like Python or Java or anything that works well with you. So when we apply abstraction again to the logic layer, like underneath there is all Java, Python or PHP and everything, but like on the surface, like developers can use point and click functionality and configure workflows. And some of the platforms even give like a abstracted version of the script itself, so that like when you feel like you want to go into advanced workflows, which is not possible with point and click, you can actually use a scripting language as such. So inbuilt workflows, the common workflows like approvals are already built in many low-code platforms. Anything out of the box, you can do that with the script builder as well. So this was one example. So what happens in the data layer as such? So data layer, the most common thing that happens is like low-code platforms provide a unified data model. A unified data model is where like you build multiple applications on the low-code platform, but the data actually sits all from different applications. The data sits on a very virtualized and unified database. So if you build an app on a low-code platform for marketing, and then you build another one for sales, now you want to correlate both and see how much marketing expense is resulting in how much sales. Usually what happens in many companies is both these apps will be isolated. So you have to take data from both, combine together to get the output. But in many low-code platforms, these all reside in a common virtualized database, and which contributes the factor marketing data and sales data can be connected, and a common insight can be generated. So another beauty of this is there is no duplication, data duplication in apps. So what is the spend in marketing? What is the spend showing in the sales app? Both look the same. There is no double entry or wrong entry happening. And because it's like a common database across all devices, data will be always in sync. You don't have to go to the mobile and then refresh it to update a data that was added through the web. So not only the apps that are built on low-code platforms, you can even connect other common accounting platforms or sales platform also to this database. So an extension of that is the second advantage. So when you bring a lot of third-party applications and connect to your platform by a common database, what will happen is you can do integrations in single click. So there is no code involved, and you need not to write or call APIs to connect to apps. These will be pre-integrated in many of the low-code platforms. So you can get data, you can post data, all with single clicks. And as I mentioned, connected data means better insights. So the first 2 points actually combines together to give you or reach you to the point of faster development. Almost 10x faster development is possible with low-code platforms. And this is ultimately the benefit of doing abstraction. So it reduces the time and improves productivity, and which results in almost 10x faster development. So we did an internal test in our company itself, to see what is the traditional time taken for building four applications or 4 common applications that we see, and how it would look like if we did it in PHP, and how it would look like if we did it in a low-code platform. So this is an approximate figure. So this is the basis of what I said as a 10x faster development. Now coming to the last point, most low-code platforms are by nature enabled with multi-platform capability. So whenever you develop an app on the web, it is automatically available on the mobile and tablet as well. No additional coding or development required. You can download the app right from the Play Store. So coming to multi-platform builder, I have transformed it into 4 different sections. First one is building section. So as I said, you build for one platform. It could be for mobile or it could be for the web, but it will be appearing as one app for all 3 devices. So the same app looking in all the latest devices. So the experience can be taken further. If you are taking the case of mobile, what will happen is you can select certain layouts that you can use on mobile as such, and this could be useful according to your company needs or your client's preference. So these are different layouts that you can pick out. And all the native features are inbuilt in it, and you can use gestures as well on the mobile app. How do you distribute it? Low-code platforms come with integration with MDMs. So you can distribute the apps within your employees, and if you want to distribute it to your customers as such, you can do that through Apple Store and Google Play. So these are pure native apps, and there is no compromise done with how when you operate with a cross-platform builder, right? And how do you update an app? Now you have developed an app at 6 months onward, the client is asking for a change. How will you do that? Again, go back to the builder, you make the change, and you don't have to make the change in each of the device. You make it for one, it will be available for all 3 devices. And if there are any specific device specific customization or update, you can actually isolate it and do it. So all the data will be in sync and all updates will be live immediately. There is no need for going back and forth on each devices. So to summarize, low-code platforms offers more capability in terms of mobility, integrations, faster development, in addition to a cloud database. So that's my talk. I hope I could help you with some details on low-code platforms. Thank you. If you have any questions, yeah.
Thank you. So it means that it will create the platform-specific mobile app, or is it a web page called within the devices?
No,
like
it will
mobile?
create a platform-specific
So
mobile
for
app.
example, it will be a APK for Android.
If you want to put it in Apple Play Store, right?
Yeah.
You will get an APK. Sorry, Google Play, then you will
Play.
get an APK.
So it will be automatically created when we will develop a web app?
Yeah, so it will be automatically created. There is no separate development.
Okay.
So once you do everything on web, it is done.
Okay. Thank you.
The website, right?
Web app is not just a website. You want to manage inventory or you want to maintain your sales, right? That is also an app. That is what I mean by web app. It's not a website.
Okay, so how do you access web app? I don't understand.
You access the web app on the browser.
Yeah, so that's a website, right? You open some
You mean a
www,
web page? Yeah, yeah.
right, web page, yeah.
Can you share some information about the pricing, and is it tied to the Zoho cloud or something in any way, like the apps are connected with the Zoho cloud or something?
Yeah, see, the apps are hosted by us.
Right.
Okay, so not all low-code platforms are like that. Like, some of them you can take the code and deploy it in, wherever you want.
So
Okay,
what about the pricing for the creator and for the...
Yeah, creator, the basic version starts with 200 rupees per month.
Okay. Per user.
Per user.
So I heard of something like Ionic and other stuff. How does it compare this with this?
Yeah, Ionic is another low-code platform that is present in the market.
Okay.
Ionic is not simpler like Creator.
Okay.
Like they are more consumer-facing mobile apps. So our mobile apps is more like inside the company and their immediate customers. Okay. So our primary aim is not to dominate the Apple Store or Google Play. So we are not a consumer-facing app, but if you want to distribute it through Google Play or Apple Store for your company purposes, we can do that.
Oh, okay, that's it. Thank you.
Zoho created something like Salesforce?
Salesforce primarily sells CRM, so one comparison that you can make is with Force.com.
No, but Salesforce allows you to create any application, right?
Yeah, that
Not
is
specifically
actually
Salesforce.
that's actually a capability of Force.com built into it.
How Zoho help us to use APIs like location, navigation,
Yeah,
these stuffs? Because when we go for cross-platform things, right? Cordova, Ionic, Xamarin. Now Google is also coming with Flutter.
Okay.
So Zoho is something that which stand outside all of these things.
Okay.
If you say like that,
Mm-hmm.
then how you're using all the native stuffs from Android or iOS?
Okay.
These are all the native stuffs, right?
Yeah.
We need to use these things for integrate in our applications.
Okay.
How
So
we-
integrations, we open our APIs.
Yeah.
We a lot of pre-built integrations are available and kept it what are the most common needs. But if you want to integrate with something else outside of what we provide, right? We will open our APIs. That's not a problem. But as I said before, you cannot deploy the app that you built on Creator on some other platform. So that will stay within Zoho.
In an Android application,
Yeah.
there is a web view. The web view stuff. If I create a web application, that URL, I will place that URL inside that web view. I will give that URL to that web view. So my whole own application will be in mobile APK only. I will get that APK to deploy.
Okay.
The design and all, I will use Bootstraps, HTML, CSS to go with the mobile specific stuffs.
Mm-hmm.
What is that different from these things? Zoho is doing different from these things.
Okay, so the point that I was raising is like, you don't need to, go through all those stuff, like, in developing a mobile app.
Yeah.
So we cut all this out. Like, when you develop for one platform, right, it will be available for the other platforms as well. So you don't need to put an extra effort. That is the unique point of Zoho.
Okay.
For like, if you are like, a developer in, say like, one particular language, or like, if you are a mobile developer, so you can come to Zoho and build it for mobile. It will be automatically built for web as well. So all it happens is like, that mobile app will have a URL which you can open.
Okay.
So it would be like, Siamese twins, both would be the same.
Yeah.
Extending that question, so the question is Zoho is trying to use WebView in Android, or is it trying to create
it's a pure native mobile app.
native mobile
App. It's not a web view. Yeah, it's not a website. If it's a web app, it will automatically create a native mobile app.
Okay, I need not worry about responsiveness.
No. It's a mobile app, native mobile app. It's not a web view, or it's not like, being responsive.
How good is it for performance-centric, performance-critical apps?
The awareness about, low code is generally low, but we have deployed in like, listed companies and Fortune 500 companies. So that leads like a lot of close interaction with the directors and CTOs. But performance-wise, we don't have any doubts. But only after like, the awareness picks up, like, a mass adoption from enterprises and high performance applications will come. But we are doing that in like, in one-on-one interaction and all that.
So typically I would want to deploy it on my own application server or servlet container, like Tomcat. So how would that be possible in this platform?
That would not be possible in Zoho's low-code platform. You have to look for some other low-code platform, like, which will give you that kind of...
Okay, so when the application is developed, so it has to be deployed on your platform only?
Yeah, it will automatically deploy. There is no...
Okay, so then how do we control parameters like the memory allocated or...
No, you don't control all that. Like, we will take care of, like, all the performance aspects as such. You work on the logic layer and, and the UI. So the performance, security, everything, like, Zoho's infrastructure will take care.
So but the resource allocation like memories...
Everything we will take care.
Deploy it in a high availability mode.
Everything we will take care. That is how it is done.
Okay, thanks.
With that, please give a big round of applause for Anish.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You're a good audience.
Thank you.